I know you're here. No need to hide yourself. I saw the video that you made. You say you're gonna kick my butt? Yes. It's time. Go ahead. You're out of bullets. Oh yeah? Let's see. God dang it! Why is it? What's wrong? What's even wrong with that gun? That gun is like so jammed up. Bob, I gave that to Bob because I knew he'll turn on me. But he has no idea that it wasn't loaded. You know what? Just screw you. I don't have time to deal with you. I guess your mom is right. You are worthless. What did you say about my mom? I guess your mom is right. You are worthless. No. I mean, how do you know my mom? How did you even met her? Oh, let's just say I met her at a bar. You did it. No, you did. Ugh. Don't ever talk about my mom. God, that hurt so hard. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna freaking kill him! Excuse me, madam. What? Why are you dying out laughing like that?
I'm laughing at this video where that Montague punch you in your face.
Wait, what? Let me see that phone!
Oh, here you go.
Who posted this?
Oh, a guy named Bob McKenzie posted that. Your partner, I think.
My what?
Yeah, your partner. Did you know? He has a YouTube channel.
My partner?
Well, if you want to talk to him, you can just call him. He's my boyfriend.
Wait, so I could call him on his phone.
Yeah, I have his phone number.
Bob, get your butt over here now!
You called me? Bob, did you post that video where Montague punched me down that hill? Yeah? Why? You I had problems for you, boy. You're dead to me. Ooh, boy, what a day.
Oh boy, what a day. Maybe a movie would just calm down my mind. Batman and Robin? Oh, I can't. This movie's terrible. Let's see here. Cars. Nah. The Tim Burton Batman. Yeah, I can live with that.
Hey, you don't want to watch a movie. You actually want to do something else.
Who said that?
Oh, I'm one of your consciousness. Anyways, you don't want to watch a movie. You actually want to do a review. You want to give out your thoughts about the Journey Beyond Sordor movie.
You must be crazy.
I'm never ever going to be talking about a Thomas film. What makes you think that I'm going to be talking about a gangster like me? A gangster to talk about a Thomas film. I hate Thomas. Fine. You want to know what I think about the new movie Journey on Sodor? It's horrible. Yeah, it's completely terrible. Well, okay. I wouldn't say that Tom is like the worst thing ever, but he is terrible in my opinion. And yeah, to be honest with you guys, I actually did saw Journey Beyond Sodor, and I think it's like one of the worst Thomas movies I've ever seen. The whole basic plot is where that James is boasting that he's the favorite engine of the island of Sodor. Well, we already seen that like a million times. We already know about James boasting, and then he gets his punishment or whatever. And yet Thomas takes his train and just like goes off into the mainland. The whole main reason why James has to go to the mainland and takes up trucks is how the fact that Henry the Green Engine crashed right into Vickerstown. In my opinion, the opening scene was like perfect until Henry says crashes. I do not like the way how they do things in slow mode. Because why? Because we already seen that like a million times. It worked on Useful Railway because, well, that was the first time that we ever saw a crash accident with somebody's reaction. But they overdid it. I promise you that. They overdid it. It's terrible. So Henry crashed right into the Vickerstown Bridge. And so everybody's reaction, I think that's like perfect. But I do not like the way how they put things in slow motion and stuff. So I go ahead and let that scene pass. So, what else that happened? Oh yeah, so Tom had lets James take the train of trucks. But however, Thomas takes the train because, well, he's cheeky. He's a dumb idiot like that. So, let's see what else. Oh yeah, Thomas started like chuffing around the mainland or England, whatever. He started chuffing around it, trying to find Bridlington Goods Yard because, well, why? Because that was the train that James needed to take. He needed to take Henry's train, and yeah. But however, Thomas got lost, and so therefore he ended up at some kind of dark place where I found one of the most disappointing and quite honestly the worthless character and pointless character as a matter of fact. His name was Beresford. Beresford was this kind of crane that you would see in GTA 5, but however he is so unrealistic, very annoying, and quite honestly, I think he's a pedophile, I think. Because why? Like, you seriously want to know why? Because he literally kept Thomas hostage just to make him to be friends. He seems like one of them old people that's like, he seems like one of them old people that's just like trying to keep a little child with him. Luckily, Thomas managed to like escape there, but yet the song, good God, it kept on re-saying the word like it's godly. Who's Thomas? Who's Thomas? I never heard of Thomas, so why should I let this Thomas simply hurry on his way? I swear, it's almost as if like they just praised it like it was like God. Soon Thomas arrived at this place called Experimental Yards, and to be honest with you guys, just remind me of Misty Island Rescue. Because why? Because, number one, there's hardly anybody there. All it is just like run by 3 engines. 2 engines we saw, but the third engine, we didn't get a chance to see him until halfway of the special, which I'll explain there in a minute. The names were Theo, Lexi, and Merlin. Lexi and Theo were the only ones that we can see. And to be honest with you guys, I actually quite like Theo. I quite like Hurricane. But I do not like Lexi. Because why? Because she reminds me of Bash and Dash a lot. Because she changes his accent. Like, she's an American engine. Why on earth was she just speaking a Scottish, French, Italian accent? To be honest with you guys, I think the Scottish accent was actually an Irish accent, actually. But hey, that's everybody's opinion. So, oh God. The way how she changed his accent was just so... And also, she was too positive as well. The one thing I do not like are positive. And that's the one thing I hate. I hate positive. Well, anyways, uh, Theo, I quite like Theo because he reminds me of like one of them people that just. He actually reminds me of one of my favorite teachers I have. Anyways, uh, soon Thomas ditches them, and then he arrives at this place called the Steelworks. The Steelworks is where we met two other characters who were the main villains. In my opinion, I don't think they were really the main villains, but however, they were kind of the main villains. Or something like Chick Hicks from Cars. Chick Hicks was not really the main villain. He would just have the fact that like a bully or something like that. But anyways, so we met by two characters of who was the main villain of the special, named Hurricane and Frankie. Hurricane was something like Gordon, except he did not have a tender. He was a tank engine. He had a body shaped like Gordon, except he had like a bunker. And I quite like Hurricane. I like Hurricane out of all of them. Why? Because I don't know. I just quite like him. I like the way how he seems like a big guy like me. Anyways, I like the way how Frankie and Hurricane seems like they're inside of a relationship, marriage, engagement. That's what it was. I like the way how they seem like they were in an engagement. So then Thomas asked him directions of where is Bridlington. Hurricane knew the way how to go to Bridlington, so therefore he took Thomas's trucks for him. So therefore they asked Thomas's help to stay at the Steelworks, and this is where I see that they're not really the main villains. They're the main villains because they keep Thomas hostage, but they're not really the main villain because the reason why they kept Thomas hostage is how about the fact they did not want to do all the work all the time because it's just too much work for two engines. For me, I quite understand that. So Hurricane takes Thomas's goods cars to Bridlington like Thomas was supposed to. So therefore Thomas stayed at the Steelworks to help Frankie and Hurricane out. Soon the next day, Thomas was like getting ready to go ahead and leave. But yet this is where they keep him hostage. They kept him hostage for like 2 days. 2 days. And then until at the night of second night, Thomas finally made his chance to escape. But during his hostage time, I quite like this. This is actually one of my favorite songs. I Want to Go Home. Because it's how about the fact that it's so emotional. It's so tragedy. It started out like some kind of people, some kind of person wanted to do something and go so perfect. Next thing that happened, it ain't always going to be perfect all the time. And that's the one thing I quite like about it. So yeah, I Want to Go Home. It's actually one of my favorites. I'm not going to lie, that's probably the best thing that I've ever seen. Anyways, luckily Thomas managed to escape the Steelworks, but then all of a sudden he derailed, and so he was abandoned in the woods a little bit. And then we got a cutback scene into Sordor, because for me, I quite understand it. I actually do, because number one, you just cannot film what's happening to Thomas all the time. You need to see about what's happening on Sordor if Thomas is not there. And this is where I see one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Tom Hatt's not even mad that Thomas took those trucks. Because why? Because number one, that wasn't his job. That wasn't that thing that Thomas should do. I mean, that was just something that Thomas was not up for. But yeah, for some reason, so Tom Hatt didn't get mad, and then he just started rearranging trains. James take Thomas's coaches as Thomas take Henry's heavy goods trains. But due since that Thomas was missing, Henry's goods train had to be delayed. So therefore, James got sick and tired of doing all the work that Thomas has to do. He was sick and tired of doing Thomas's work. He was sick and tired of doing his work. So therefore, he went off to the mainland to go find Thomas. That night, at least. Then we got a cutback scene to Thomas of how he's doing. Then Frankie and Hurricane came back and took Thomas back. I bet Thomas was probably thinking that's probably the best time I've ever seen those. Because why? Because he would have been left there and abandoned there. So, as they took him back, it was soon nighttime, and Frankie and Hurricane was soon sleeping. And Thomas, he thought it was now a perfect time to go ahead and escape. The gates were locked, and no one could like go right through the gates and just like unlock it. So therefore, Thomas tried to like open the gates all by himself with the buffers. At this part, nobody, not that many people, enjoy Thomas that much. But after seeing him, like legit seeing him trying to escape, you actually want him to be safe. You actually want him to like be far away from those kind of people. So, yeah. So Thomas luckily managed to escape as Frankie and Hurricane chase him down. Luckily, Thomas managed to like find a woods that he can go to and hide there. But he knew that he just cannot hide forever for them. He knew that they were going to like circle around and try to look. Then all of a sudden, Thomas finally met what crap was his name? Merlin, that's what it was. Thomas managed to find Merlin, but yet he couldn't find him. Merlin found him. And that is where that I kind of find that scene kind of disturbing, because it seems like some kind of old man finding a child in like the middle of the woods and trying to take him back. So, but however, Merlin kind of helped Thomas out of the fact that Thomas, well, of course, Thomas was hunting down. What he told Thomas was to like close his eyes and act like he's not there. And it actually worked. But the next morning, Thomas could not find Merlin anywhere. Merlin was gone. So therefore, Thomas tried his best to like find himself back. So then he finally made it back at the experimental yards, where like he finally met Lexi and Theo again. And this is where we finally get to another song. What? We can't do anything. Experimental is where they're like failed examine engines. And since they're like failed engines, they barely could do that much. So, what else? Oh yeah. Finally, at the halfway of the song, we finally got a scene. We finally got a scene where like we finally met Merlin, and it actually turns out Merlin has like 3 funnels, so that way he can blow steam so hard that you cannot see him through the steam. So, what else? Yeah, Thomas asked directions that doesn't he know. Whoa, okay. He left him again, and then he arrived back at. Are you guys seeing this? What's going on with her? I'm not sketching this, everybody. Are you legit seeing this? Okay, I gotta pause the camera. I honestly have no idea what the heck just happened. There we go. Wait, crap. I honestly have no idea what the heck just happened. I did not sketch that. That never was supposed to happen, but anyways. So Thomas just like left them again. And they arrived back at that little dockside where he met that Beresford guy. And this is where I kind of found one of the dumbest scenes ever. He was only there just so he can help Thomas out. What he did was like he grabbed Thomas by the cab and legit pulled him up. And yet he was like trying to make Thomas be his friend. And yet Thomas said, and that lesson right there was that you cannot make anybody to be your friend. You have to be nice to them. Then all of a sudden he saw a Hurricane talking to Hurricane and Frankie. So therefore he told Beresford to hide him. So Beresford throwed him into the okay, not really throwed him, but tossed him into a water while still holding him. But as Thomas overheard, they found James, which I'll get to that here in a minute. Anyways, they tosses Thomas right into the water, and so Thomas overheard them talking to James, as James was on the mainland looking for Thomas. So therefore, Merlin arrived and seen everything. So therefore, what he did next, he brought Thomas back to the experimental yards, and then told Lexi and Theo that they need to help James, and friends help each other. So therefore, they went down to the steelworks, and then they try to like barge in there and try to get him back. A lot of people enjoyed the scene at first. They legit did. I quite enjoyed it. I liked the way that they like sneaked in and tried to take James out, then all of a sudden something went wrong. The one thing that happened next, the next thing that happened next was that Thomas. This is where that everybody hated the scene next. The as Thomas tried to like rescue James, he Hurricane and Frankie blocked the tracks where that James could not escape. And therefore, Thomas and Theo quickly pushed the trucks out of the way. But however, they pushed it too far that the trucks derailed and hit some kind of button where the magnet picked up Thomas and was about to like put him over a pot of fire, of steel fire, I think. I'm not that much of a Steelworks fan, but anyways, Thomas was about to literally die. And then, luckily, some kind of bucket hit Thomas, which is like one of the dumbest scenes ever. Because why? Because how is a bucket can help a little tank engine? I mean, a big tank. Well, okay, he's not a big tank, but still, it was like a bucket that was like this big, and yet it just went boom. And then Thomas started like bouncing around places like a ball or something. But anyways, next thing that happened was that Thomas started skidding across the track like a hockey puck. And then all of a sudden he hit the trucks full of steel fire of ashes. And then all of a sudden the ashes toppled over and was about to like melt Thomas's wheels. Luckily, Hurricane was around to see this. And this is where I realized that he wasn't really the main villain. Next thing he done was that he pushes Thomas out of the way as he sacrificed himself. As his wheels start like melting down. Luckily, Merlin was nearby, and so therefore he shoved Hurricane right out of the ashes. And that's also another dumbest scene ever. Frankie started to cry because of how the fact that they're gonna leave them, which I don't blame them. And then all of a sudden, Thomas forgave them to wait, right, like random. Like Thomas came from, oh no, let's get out of here, to like, wait, we must stay and help him. I like how at the fact that the experimental engine stayed and helped them out, but I hated where that Thomas forgave them too much, forgave them too fast. And also Frankie says crying. God, I do not like it. I did not like it one bit. It sounded like some kind of brat was like pouting because she could not get a toy like she wanted. The one thing I do like of how that Thomas forgave them too just random was how about the fact that it taught kids something. Maybe, who knows, maybe that would just teach kids something one of these days. Maybe some friends done something to their friends so bad and then all of a sudden they just like made up real quick. That's probably the best thing that would probably happen, but we all know that's very unrealistic. So what else? Oh yeah. So Thomas and James left and then they sang a song together, which was a song that was like brought up 3 times in the film. The beginning of the film, halfway of the film, and end of the film. Except one of them was like had a different lyrics. Different. The first 2 songs said somebody has to be the favorite. And it was where that James started singing it, and we already know about that. But at the end, it says nobody has to be the favorite. A lot of people hated that was because of how the fact that we already know nobody has to be the favorite. It's not a competition. But one thing that made me mad so far was how the fact that so Tom had found Thomas and James safely arrived back at Sordor. But it's how the fact that he did not get mad like one bit. Instead, he just started picking up a little stick and started conducting the engines of singing. So, that was the end of the special. Now it's time to, like, hand out my thoughts about the film. Well, my thoughts was, I thought that story was a little bit decent. I thought it was, like, real classic. I thought it was, like, a real childish thing to do. But however, it's not perfect. To be honest with you guys, I actually think that the Great Race was actually better than this. To be honest with you guys, because why? Because why? Because the story, it's just like any other film out there. Some kid gets boasting, other kid does something, and then all of a sudden, huge chaos happens, and then everything what just happened. So, uh, I give that story about like a 5 out of 10. Yeah, very very average. But however, I'm not giving it a full 5 out of 5. I'm gonna give it like a full review of it. So the music, I thought the music was spectacular, except for that one scene where that Bears first starts singing, and nobody has to be the favorite, and somebody has to be the favorite. And didn't really like those. I hated those. I think those were like one of the worst songs out of all the entire film. But however, I give that song about like a 7 out of 10. But however, that's gonna be like a 2 plus up. Well, no, a 1.5 out of 10 for it if I want to add it with the 5 at least. So with the music, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. What about the animation? The animation is where that the engine started like bouncing around. Something like all human do. The engine started bouncing around. It only works on a song. I will admit that. I quite like when the engine started like bouncing around, where they're like leaning like this or this. I do not like it when they're doing the conversation, but however, I do like it when they're like singing it. Because why? Because it almost represents that they're dancing a little bit, and I did quite enjoy that. So therefore, I give that one and also 1 out of 10. So what else? So I guess I give it about like a 7.5 out of 10. I guess that's it. Yeah, a 7.5 out of 10. I really hated this day. This day sucked. I got my humiliation, put it on. I had to review one of the worst Thomas movies ever. And third reason, I don't even know why I just said that, because that also came out one of the worst kid shows ever. I hate this. You know what? I'm taking myself a little stroll around the woods.